Welcome to the full moon, strawberry moon in Capricorn reading. We've got the elk card, earth element. We've got the snowdrop flower, or galanthus, I believe it's what it's called. And the desert sands card, which says awaken your creativity. So I want to start with the elk card. This particular animal being is really calling us to take stock of what our ancestors have to teach us. And some of us may not have direct lines of communication with either our ancestors or our history or where we're from, but we actually do have those lines of communication, and it is stored within our cells, within our epigenetics, within our blood, and within the spirit realm. And there's different ways of tapping into that, but I would just, with this card coming around, I would just invite you to find whatever ways feel comfortable for you, whatever ways you receive your messages through yourself and going inside of yourself. Just like this animal lives in the deep, dark forests, places where us humans don't like to necessarily spend a ton of time because it's actually physically dangerous for us. But this animal calls that place home, moves through it with grace and a majestic feeling about them, and understanding the depths of the forest and the depths of the places that may not be safe for us. But, this particular animal also could be hunted and feed a whole village potentially with how big that they can get. And just the ways in which this type of animal gives us this message of really embodying being the king or queen of our own forest, of really understanding, like the moon eclipsing the sun here, the aspects of the masculine and feminine working together, because like we're in a Capricorn full moon, but we're in a Cancer sun. And so the dynamic between Capricorn and Cancer is like the mother and father, the nurturing and the reputation and responsibility, and the active masculine, the receptive feminine, and how we're balancing those two things. How are we balancing our home life, our family life, the people and things that we care about with our responsibility and what it is that we want to contribute to the world and how we want to leave a legacy in one way or another. It's important to think about these things, and understanding that a move too far in either direction can really be a detriment to us and can really be just weigh us down in one way or another. We have to find a way to embody the understanding of spiritual reality and the physical reality, and how we move through both of these things. And we all have this capability. We all have the ability to tap in one way or another. It's simply finding the methodology that works particularly for you. And this card is coming through to say, hey, take the time to really sit with yourself, to be with your physical self, and see what messages are coming to you, through your inner depths. And give yourself the time and space to understand those things about yourself and to traverse those depths and move through the hero's journey, because it's not always easy and it's not always known. The paths are going to be unknown, and we are now required to be more comfortable with the unknown, because that's just how it's going to be. Like, we're descending into chaos in one way or another, and we can see it around us, even in just the revelations that come every single day. We can't deny the truth of what we believe is true, what is true to us. And we have to understand that there's many different truths, and we're going to have to some degree, hold space for the fact that all of the truths exist, and we still have to keep moving forward. And so move on into this orange card, which is giving us sacral chakra, or like reproductive area, which gives us our energy, it's the energy creation center. It's the creation center in general of our body. And so when we're thinking of this energy that moves through us, that we are all made of, that is expanded by our heart, we have to understand, where are we putting our energy? What are we investing ourselves in? This is a really potent time to really listen to maybe the messages that have been coming through, that have been calling you to create one thing or another, and asking you, like, what are you doing with your legacy? Like, what is it that you want to contribute to the world? And what side of things do you really want to be on? And not to polarize it, or to say like there's a good or a bad, but right now we have to stand for, like, what is it that we really want to contribute to the world? And I'm not saying that you have to be doing something, or you have to tangibly create something, because art can take all different kinds of forms and different ways that we can embody things. But nonetheless, it is important for us to do that actively, to awaken our creativity, awaken ourselves to what it is that we want to be investing our energy into, because we've been slapped with trauma upon trauma for a good long time now. And now is the time to understand that the only way that we can reformulate this trauma into healing is to find avenues of nurturing, such as therapy, if you have the access to something like that, and also diving into ourselves and understanding what we want to put our energy towards. So really take stock in that. Like, what is it that you're putting your energy towards? Because we can look around the world and we can see that we're not going to get away from the trauma unless we're really embodying ourselves and embodying what we want to be investing ourselves in. And the last card is the snowdrop flower. This is one of the first flowers that blooms after winter. So it gives us that rebirth vibe. It gives us the understanding that death isn't necessarily the end of anything. Also, this particular flower, which was something interesting I found about it, has a mechanism in it that if it blooms and then it freezes again, it'll fall flat. But when it thaws out, it will pop back up. So it has this like resurrection vibe about it. Also, it's the Four of Swords, swords being an air element, so that having to do with our mind, how we think about things, how we communicate things, and giving us this, and four being where we're first creating this stability for ourselves. So we're creating a stability in the way that we think about things and communicating things, so that we can stand true in ourselves, and we can understand that death is just a cycle, that that energy continues, and energy will always continue and go through its own processes of death and rebirth, just like the bulbs of this flower. And also, another interesting thing about the galanthus is some of its molecular structure is utilized in pharmaceutical drugs that they use to help with dementia and Alzheimer's patients. And it works to help regenerate the neurons in our brain. And so this being with an air element card is so interesting to me, because it's really asking us to understand that our connection to the physical realm can give us so many tools to helping heal ourselves, because essentially ourselves is the earth. We are elementally comprised of the same things as the earth. And so there is healing within the earth for us. There is abundance within the earth for us. There is the idea that death is not the end of everything in the earth for us. And so this card is really just giving us a little bit of hope, and hoping that we can step into the truth of like logically understanding that we can make it through this. We can make it through anything. It's just a matter of conserving our mental energy and understanding where we want to put our creative energy, and believing in ourselves, believing in the signs, the things that the ancestors have for us, believing in a multidimensionality so that we could understand that we're not alone in this situation that's going on for us. And because I think that even if we have opened up and we're going back to normal, what really does that mean in a time like this, after we've all collectively experienced what we experienced over the last year and a half or so? There isn't normal to go back to. Normal wasn't normal anyways. We're going through a massive shift, and there's a lot more possibilities than just the possibility of death and destruction and horror and chaos. Sure, there may still be chaos and there may still be death and destruction, but we can take a more embodied approach. We can take more strategic action to putting our energy into more functional, loving, caring, expressive places. And we can understand that energy is always going to keep moving. And our souls, our spirits, whatever it is that you want to call it, is always going to exist regardless of our physical three-dimensional self. And all we can do is the best with what we have right now. But I really do think that we're in this amazing opportunity if we can really take the time to do these things and to understand the balance between active and receptive. The more that we can embody that, the more we're just going to be able to make it through the ensuing chaos. And so I hope that kind of beauty, embodiment, and understanding for you, and I hope that there's some amount of clarity that you know that you're being guided to what you are meant to create in this world, or at least in this time, and to understand what needs to be let go at this time for you, because full moon is a great time to shed. So with that, I will catch y'all on the new moon.